Time now for the Ask the Mayor program here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO. And Mason City Mayor John Lee joins us as we're on the first Thursday of the month of May. Mayor, welcome back.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me. I was looking forward to it.
Well, back on Tuesday night, the council started out the night with a workshop session, and it's obviously something that everybody's going to have to be thinking about. Whether or not they had lead service lines in their going into their home, and of course an EPA mandate basically telling everybody, all towns, all communities, that has to be addressed before 2037.
Yep, they got to have the plan in, and it has to be not just a plan, but it has to be executed by 2037. So yeah, we got a national mandate started in 2021, peaked in 2024, and then released, and so it's all come to fruition. And so anybody who's out there who's watching, listening, I'm going to encourage you to go to a certain website, masoncity.net/lead lines, to see if you have them. But because of basically Flint, Michigan, back in 13 or 14, what hit, we learned a lot from back then, and federal government, and it's good. I mean, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive to the city, but also expensive to homeowners. But in the end, it does make it a lot safer for all of us. We were reminded last night, even we had the lead in the air in the 1960s with gasoline,
Right.
And we know the poisonous levels of lead, and we have people drinking from lead lines. So we got to get them changed.
And but obviously the council has to come up with a plan to help, alleviate some of that. Because obviously, we were talking right before we went on the air here, when it comes to the real estate side of things and buying and selling homes, that's something that's going to have to be, that's going to have to be part of the information that that's given out when you buy or sell a home.
So obviously I'm in the real estate business too, and we talked about this. Even the state of Iowa mandates now disclosures, and because if you're buying a home right now and you're buying a home with lead lines, you will be forced to pay anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000. Now we got a grant. We can talk specifics later, but generally to replace a lead line, we're being told it'll be between $5,000 and $15,000, which is a lot of money. What people aren't planning on. We get that, so we're going to try to create a program to spread out the expense. But as you buy and sell property, that's going to be extremely important that people recognize and know.
And as you were alluding to moments ago, and I was going to try to pull up the map and show it on our video feed of today's program, but I can't figure out everything technical, unfortunately. But going to that website, and I just had it pulled up. It's pretty much every home you can have. It's got a color coded designation basically that shows whether or not your home might have a lead line issue.
Correct. I haven't looked at it probably for a week or two, but I believe the magic color you want is blue and blue. You'll see two different colors there. Lead and galvanized have to be replaced. I think red's lead, yellow's galvanized, and you got two different lines there. And so we're looking at both lines. You got to get rid of both or one. And you want to see the blue, but you can check yourself. You can check your neighbors. There are some areas, but unfortunately we're looking at homes kind of like lead paint that were built before 1978. After that, we pretty much assumed they weren't. Doesn't mean it's not guaranteed. We have 1,200 homes, I believe the number was given last night, that we're not exactly positive, and they'll have to be checked and looked into. But basically, we have 1,900 homes that have to be, I think they call it 3,800 service lines, but that ends up being about 1,900 households that will have to be mitigated in the next 10 years.
So the council will have potentially something at the next meeting that they're going to approve? Or not?
Over the course, I do have the timeline, but I can't remember the exact timeline. But yeah, we got to adopt the 10-year plan. For the first 3 years, we do have some federal funds that are being handed out through the state. So it's state grant, but it's federal funds that we have applied for. We'll have some dollars available for the next 3 years to get as much done under that program as we possibly can. Then after 3 years, we're going to have to renegotiate, look at, hopefully there's more time or more money, I should say, that we're going to try to go after. But right now we're trying to, about 49% of the cost may be kind of state level, paid for the city, government, or whatever. And then we'll take the 51%, and we can also spread that out over, you got a couple choices as a citizen. You could call tomorrow and say, I just want to get this over with. I'll pay my share. I don't want to put it on taxes. Let's just pay it outright, as we have discovered with our other, national mandate that if you wait too long, prices, we all know, go up. And more cities are doing this, more busy excavators are going to become, prices go up. So in a way, if you have the ability to do it pretty quick in the next year, 18 months, I'd really encourage anybody who has that ability to try to look into it.
Well, before we look at some of the other things before that took place also at Tuesday night's meeting, I know our conversation a couple of weeks ago, we were wondering what the legislature was going to do with property taxes. And now we know, after they went an extra round of overtime over the weekend and a 36-hour session, I guess, or something like that. But it's not the total 2% hard cap, but it's close. At least there's a little leeway in regards to some benefits and whatnot.
It's I don't think this is, what do you call that when a meteorite comes from space and destroys life. It's not that, but it's definitely going to disrupt services. There's a couple big things from it that really are going to hurt Mason City. The biggest one is the credit to exemption on property tax as well. A credit basically is the benefit came from the homeowners got the benefit of credit. It's not paying a certain percentage of taxes, but the state government backfilled it to the city, and that backfill won't be there because now it's exemption. They don't pay and the state doesn't pay. And really now they're going to hold on to that money, not give it to the cities. And what we were told, Brent Hinson does a great job. He looked at it, and starting July 1st next year, it looks like we're going to have a $600,000 loss in revenue by next July, which will take effect. Now, 2% is a hard cap on general funds, but they did allow us to have uncapped levies on when it comes to like police and fire, insurance, and some other, flexibility in that, which is good, because at first it wasn't in that bill at all. We were hoping that they would give us a quarter to half cent on revenue sales tax to recover some revenue costs. They didn't get that in there. So I don't think it's the earth killer, but it's definitely for cities, not a great bill, it's not a bad bill, probably, I would say. For citizens, it's one of those things that up front looks like it's a win. I understand capping taxes. I mean, we've done a pretty good job here in the last 14 years. I would say we've been under 2%, probably. I should know for sure, but I've always been telling people probably 10 or 11 years we've been under the 2% cap. But when we go over, it's usually pretty necessary.
Well, I'm not sure if this will be a one-year solution by the legislature. And of course, who knows what an election will take. I would assume it's, it'd have to be a large haul for the Democrats to take back the State House, but you never know what will happen year by year down at the State House.
You really don't. In today's environment, the national level seeping into the state and the local and all that. Who knows? The House and the Senate. After this year, I'd have a hard time thinking there was a lot of energy there, motivation to pick up property taxes by the Republicans. Now, if somehow the Democrats can take all three, which would be a huge lift, maybe they would. Maybe they'd pick something up, but I just don't see that happening.
Well, getting back to Tuesday night's council meeting, and one of the things, a couple proclamations at the beginning of the meeting. One of the things we talked about in the newscast yesterday was the Best in Preservation Award, and that was a great award by the Historic Preservation Commission as part of Historic Preservation Month that honored someone that definitely helped put some standards into how things are looked at when dealing with buildings that are maybe being proposed to be demolished. Yeah,
we have a great HPC. It doesn't have a lot of leverage, though. But Tricia Sandal has done a great job at really educating people, working with that HPC. She's been an anchor there. She retired last year. But I always, I tell people that's where I got my first start in politics. Being a history teacher, I thought that'd be a perfect way in. Learned a ton. She's a great mentor, so to speak, when it comes to history and the economic impact historical preservation has on a town. And I think she might be the first one that ever told me to go visit Galena, and I fall in love with that town and absolutely love it. So no, it's a great honor to her and to recognize her dedication to historical preservation. It is something that this town I think we've all known hasn't been wonderful at. We've allowed a lot of our old buildings to kind of fall by the wayside, and we do what we can to save them. But we've had some big victories, obviously, and the hotel obviously demonstrates the importance of historical preservation.
And obviously, one building that we'll be talking about a little bit more here in a little bit, Mohawk Square. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's going to be a tough loss. But as Chris Erdahl also mentioned during the meeting back on Tuesday night, yeah, it is really out of the commission's hands. I mean,
Yeah, correct.
if somebody wants to demolish a building that owns it, they have the right to do so.
Yeah, it's private ownership in this country, and if you purchase a privately owned business and you want the land, or if you don't take care of it, or you want to take that property a different angle, we have very little power and control over that. The railroad depot, Central Pacific, I would love to keep that building. I would love to find a way to keep that building, but the railroad owns it, and they said we can move it, but the move is going to cost $2 to $3 million, and we don't know where to move it to. That doesn't count. That probably $5 to $10 million out, to renovate it. It costs a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's possible. Look at the group of people who said one day we're going to save this hotel.
Yeah.
But it takes a coordinated group of very passionate individuals to save buildings, and it's a long, hard, but worthy cause. But for sure.
One of the other proclamations dealt with child care, and obviously that's been a topic in our community that is an issue that's been trying to be addressed.
The federal government's tried it, state government tried it. We got it. We had a good, decent program running there with the state government for 2 or maybe 3 years, where we were just adding a couple of dollars per hour to care providers. And it's one of those things that, everybody complains about the cost of daycare, and it is expensive. And we all feel bad for the daycare workers because they don't get paid enough, but to pay them more would cost more, and it's a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But what is very relevant is the hard work and the importance of people who are great at that job, taking care of our children and their future. And so it's very important to recognize those people who put their time in, don't get paid nearly enough when it comes to the importance of their job, and to recognize that.
And then the other proclamation was about Memorial Day, which will be coming up later in the month. And
the 25th, I believe, Monday.
I believe you're right.
So Memorial Day is obviously a time we all love in this city. It's probably our biggest weekend as a city, with band fest and graduation. It's a huge ceremony, huge fun weekend. But I think it's important to realize when Monday rolls around, it's time to reflect, take a pause, thank the people who have served us. Remember the people who have paid the ultimate price. And if you've never been to that Memorial Day service down St. Joseph Cemetery, it is a beautiful ceremony. Usually, not always, a beautiful day. We've been pretty lucky lately. But get out and thank the service members, and remember everybody, even families. Kind of Memorial Days kind of turned into remember those we've lost, even personally, but it ultimately is there for service members.
Some of the other things that were on the agenda the other night, the zoning of the proposed high-end apartment development by the Legacy.
Yeah, I got through a second read, getting another unanimous vote. The concerns, I think most of them have been addressed. It was pretty contentious, a year ago, whenever it was, with the neighborhood, and the neighborhood has raised their concerns. But I think most of them have been mitigated, and we've gone ahead twice now. We're taking care of that 19th Street with renovations, more setbacks, buffer zone. And so hopefully it's a good project for the neighborhood, for the city, and something we actually do need in this town.
And you mentioned 19th Street Southwest. The council's approving the contract Tuesday night for that improvement project. A little bit over the estimate, but it's not. It wasn't anything totally eye-shocking.
No, it's not. You wait 6 months to build something, and the estimate's gone up in this world. That's one reason that 2% is really important for us. People want to try to tie the property tax into CPI, but cities, our inflation's pretty extravagant. But the 19th Street will get started here. The goal is to have it completely done before Newman's back in session in August. That seems like a very tight window, but we'll see if they can get it done. But it's a very, very important improvement that we need in that side of town.
On the other side of town, 12th Street Northwest, I know the council approved a turn lane project there. And of course, there's other improvements coming for 12th Street Northwest as well here in the near future.
Yeah, that's something that's been the works. So we're working with Curry's and that area to, we're going to hopefully develop some land north of that. And so we're looking at eventually putting a roundabout in there. But right now it's a turning lane and building out to that. But it's a dangerous, corner. We've had bicyclists hit there. They don't line up and people come flying in from the outside of town. And so, we're trying to make that a safer intersection.
Mason City's Mayor John Lee joining us on the Ask the Mayor program today here on KGLO. And, just looking at some of the other things from the agenda, from Tuesday night, obviously the council just got done with approving a budget for the next budget year that begins on July 1st. But the city, every so often by law has to make amendments to the current budget. And that's what the council had to do back on Tuesday night.
Reconcile the books just like you and I do at the end of each. Well, I'm not sure if we do anymore with the electronic, but once upon a time when you had a checkbook, you had to always reconcile at the end of the month, right? We got to do that every year. And that's just basically we did. Nothing earth shattering in there that we're like, oh, where'd that money go? Or, how do we recover from it? But it's what we do.
The city balances its checkbooks. I'm guessing neither of us probably balance our checkbooks very well.
I got a debit card that does that, so to speak.
You got electronic statements and everything like that. The council did a couple of updates to urban renewal plans. One dealt with the 19th Street Southwest road construction that we talked about moments ago. The other to help with the redevelopments of Southbridge Mall and the Mohawk Square property. And obviously the Southbridge project just continues to move along. And let's start with that. Then we'll go to Mohawk Square in just a second.
The mall, when I campaigned, and even Councilman Hines, when he campaigned in February, there are a lot of people concerned about that and taking some money and what's it going to cost the city. But we'll talk about this in a second, that doing nothing costs money as well as doing something. So we are trying to, save that and make that a great asset for the town. A lot of people want to see that become an asset. We're really hoping that somebody comes forward with a plan for a bowling alley, but people would love to see an old arcade in there, maybe a barcade, as some cities are doing it. The most exciting thing is May 16th. We'll have our first showing of Footloose. There's going to be 4 showings that day, noon, 3, 6, and 9. If you want to know how you get your tickets, I don't know the actual mechanism right now, but I think Councilman Mason's kind of heading that up and trying to figure out how we're going to do that. But there'll be 4 showings of Footloose that first day, May 16th.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be fun getting people back down there, and just something is what we're trying to do. You just keep moving the goal.
And then Mohawk Square, the old Mason City High School building downtown. Obviously, the court side of things got reconciled. I guess that might not be the best way to put it, but the court proceedings are over dealing with that after a little bit of a legal battle on whether that should come into the city's possession or not. But now that that court stuff has been taken care of, it's time to move forward on. Unfortunately, as we talked about earlier, but it's got to happen. Yeah,
it's preparation for that to be torn down. And what we're doing right now, we're not in what you call it, the final descent. This descent has begun. Right. We're trying to get grants. We're trying to, find a couple $1 million, but we got to do some abatement in there with asbestos and also the molding before anybody even tears it down. Right. I'd say the window's very close. Somebody could call tomorrow and say, hey, I got $30 million to save it. We can save it still. So anybody listening says, you know what, I got a crazy idea, but I think I got an opportunity. I got that investor in my back pocket. I don't know what that would take, but no, it's going to happen most likely. And we're just starting that mitigation process.
And, and some people still may not even realize there's no roof basically on that building.
There's no roof.
If you stand at the street level, there's a lot of things that you can see on that building that really does not represent what the rest of that building looks like.
No. So many people have said it looks like a great building. Isn't it structurally sound? It's structurally sound. The columns inside, we had a study done at least a couple of years ago, right. But the mold, the roof is gone. The environment has moved in. And so it would be a study to show what happens to buildings when it's no longer taken care of. And it's unfortunate that happened. But when the roof collapsed, it wasn't fixed. and it's had there opened, and we have to take care of it.
Speaking of rehabbing buildings, the council approved a grant application to hopefully get some funds to help with a single-family owner-occupied housing rehab program for the Forest Park area.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying as hard as we can to encourage people to save the homes that we do have. You know, it's really easy to say we need more homes and build homes, and we see some expansion south and east of town, and we're gonna have northwest of town. We just expanded, and so we're excited for our new buildings. But as much as we can save our homes right now, especially historical homes, and it's very important that we do this. And any opportunity we see, we take it.
Well, I know, we'll meet once again before Band Festival takes place, and actually, well, so yeah, look at the calendar. Our next meeting might be on the first day of Band Festival, actually. But you mentioned Memorial Day stuff, but there's a season of summer coming along, and a lot of things that'll be going on not only in the downtown area but throughout the entire community.
Yeah, personally, and a lot of people ask me, just in conversation, like, what's your favorite time of year? And mine's always October because of football. But I'll tell you, as a Mason Cityan, we are getting into that 2-week period that it's just really exciting around here. I think because it's spring, but also we got graduation and Band Fest weekend is such a fantastic weekend around here. And so I encourage everybody to get out there, get down the parade, get downtown, support again. My message ever since I ran is be part of your community, make it better, make it stronger, love where you live. And what a great opportunity here to turn out and to enjoy everything. Like Thursday night, the Mason City Band opens it up down there on the plaza. And we got the movie theaters up and running again. We got the carnival, but we got music all weekend, free music downtown. Everybody says there's nothing to do in this town. Well, for 3 days, there's plenty of music and things to do, and don't have to spend any money to enjoy it, or you can drop some money and support local businesses, which obviously I encourage.
I think you've put things very well, and I think we'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Mason City's Mayor John Lee here on the Ask the Mayor program here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO.